How's it going, everyone? Let's get to our first story, and we got a doozy. Could the Yankees be in on Jacob deGrom? That just sounds absolutely ridiculous in my head. Could you imagine Jacob deGrom going from the Mets to the Yankees? Absolutely ridiculous, my goodness, but we've seen crazier things. The Yankees have requested medical information on Jacob deGrom, according to SNY. In the end, though, I don't see this happening. Now, with Jacob deGrom, sure, you're not going to have to sign him to a long-term deal. You're looking at probably maybe 3-4 years tops for someone like Jacob deGrom, but it's going to be a lot of money per year for him. I could see the Yankees being interested in not having to, sign him up for a lot of years, but it's going to be a lot of money. And with the Yankees as well, they tend to not like to give up draft pick compensation. And because the Mets offered him a qualifying offer, the Yankees would have to give up something there. And in the end, I just don't think the Yankees are going to see it as worth it. They could use a number 2 guy behind Garrett Cole. I like Nestor Cortez, but I see him as more of a number 3. Frankie Montas was not good with the Yankees when he came over. Big question mark with his health. Luis Severino, also a question mark with his health. Do think the Yankees need a number 2 guy. I just don't think deGrom is really the answer. I could see the Yankees just going another route there. deGrom would be, if healthy, an amazing upgrade for the Yankees. 11 starts last year, had issues with the scapula, missed a lot of the season, but a 2.13 FIPS. Strikeouts were still extremely high. Walks were still very low. Home runs came up a tad, but the velocity was still there. Jacob deGrom, one of the most amazing pitchers on the planet when he is healthy. In the end, though, I just don't see the Yankees doing this. I think they'll go elsewhere if they're going to be looking for starting pitching. So let's move on to our next story. Speaking of the Yankees, they do have a free agent by the name of Aaron Judge that the Giants have been connected to, but the Giants are also showing interest in another outfielder out there, Brandon Nimmo, along with Cody Bellinger. I'll talk about Cody Bellinger a little bit more in just a second, but the Giants, no surprise to me that they're showing interest in someone like a Brandon Nimmo. If we take a look at Nimmo's numbers from last year, 151 games, hit 274, 367 on base, 433 slugging, 16 homers, a 134 WRC+. He's going to be very solid for you at the top of the lineup, gets on base a lot. But where Brandon Nimmo, I think, would bring a lot of help to the Giants is defensively. Now, Brandon Nimmo, he has been questionable with the defense in the past, but the last couple of seasons, he's been pretty solid out in the field. And if we take a look here at the San Francisco Giants, when it came to outfield defense, they were dead last year, according to Fangraphs. I think Nimmo would be a nice upgrade for them out in center field. I think Mike Yastrzemski, you can just slide him over to one of the corner outfield spots. I think Nimmo, yeah, absolutely. I could definitely see this happening. I do think the Giants would, if you were to pick between Judge and Brandon Nimmo, I think they would rather get Aaron Judge. We'll just have to see how this plays out. But absolutely, Brandon Nimmo, I definitely could see them being a player for him. And as for Cody Bellinger, yeah, sure. I could see Cody Bellinger being a fit there, left-handed bat. Hey, left-handed bats have done well over there in San Francisco with the water. Man, oh man, Barry Bonds. Every time I think of a left-handed bat, I just think of Barry Bonds hitting homers into the water there. But Cody Bellinger, hey, the Giants, they've done a great job in the past of bringing in hitters, fixing them up. I think Cody Bellinger could be an option out there as well. He would also help improve that defense. We'll just have to wait and see. But this definitely shows that the Giants, they are in play for some kind of an outfielder out there. For our next story, let's stick with Cody Bellinger, and reports from Ken Rosenthal are suggesting that he is looking for a 1-year deal instead of a multi-year deal. I think this is the right strategy for Cody Bellinger. Take the route of what Marcus Semien did a couple of years ago. Take a 1-year deal, try and have a rebound kind of a year, go back out into the market the next year, and try and get yourself a nice fat contract like Marcus Semien did. But one team that has shown interest are the Toronto Blue Jays. I think the Toronto Blue Jays, I've talked about Bellinger here in the last few videos of mine. I think the Blue Jays would be a great fit for him. If we take a look here at the Blue Jays, one thing I've mentioned, no left-handed bats as of right now in their starting lineup, but George Springer, he can move over to right, and Cody Bellinger can just slot right into center field. And I actually think that would be very good for the Blue Jays. If you take a look at their center field defense from last year, I mean, not bad overall, but 18th overall. They definitely could use a bit of a boost there. -4 defensive runs saved, a -4.5 UZR. So if you move Springer over to right, Cody Bellinger will definitely give you an upgrade there. Even though the bat has been slumping in the last couple of years, Bellinger is still going to give you good defense out there, and he's also going to give you good base running. If you take a look at the Blue Jays from last year, 25th overall in base running with a negative 10.5. So Bellinger, you know, hey, you got plenty of bats there to where, hey, maybe he can have some time to work on some things. He can kind of hide in that lineup a little bit, but he is definitely going to improve the base running and the defense. I absolutely see the Blue Jays as a legit contender for Cody Bellinger. They've been willing to do these one-year deals before, like I said, with Semien, so we're just going to have to wait and see where Cody Bellinger lands. Speaking of outfielders, let's talk about Mitch Haniger. Now, Mitch Haniger from a couple of years ago, this guy was an absolute machine. Take a look at the numbers from 2021. This dude had 39 homers, 100 RBIs, hit 253, a 318 on base, but a 485 slugging is really good, a 121 WRC plus. Now, last year, he ran into a lot of health issues, only played in 57 games, still had 11 home runs over those 57 games, so the power is definitely still there. Now, a couple of teams are showing some interest in Haniger. Well, actually, we got 4 different teams as of right now that are showing interest. The Giants and the Rangers were reported over the weekend, but according to John Morosi, the Dodgers and Angels have also jumped into the fray. We just talked about the Giants looking for some outfield help. Sure, Mitch Haniger, I think, could be a good fit there. The Rangers absolutely could use an upgrade out in left field. I think that could be a pretty nice fit. But let's talk about the Dodgers and the Angels. Now, the Angels, I think, could be intriguing because as of right now, you got Mickey Moniak projected in left field, but don't forget about Joe Adell, former top prospect. I'm not sure what the Angels are thinking of him. He's had a lot of opportunities here to show what he can do, and he just hasn't really been able to get it together in the major leagues. I still think a lot of Angels fans have hope in him. I mean, he's not even 24 years old, so there's still a lot of time for Joe Adell to get himself on track. But if the Angels, they are looking to get into competition, I mean, this is a good lineup. When you look at the talent in this lineup, obviously Trout and Ohtani, but I mean, I know Rendon has been one of the worst contracts in baseball, but this was a guy, before he signed with the Angels, he was so good with the Nationals. This lineup should be really good when they're all healthy and clicking. And don't forget about Taylor Ward, got off to an amazing start last year, had a good season overall, did run into some health issues. Jared Walsh has shown in the past that he can do pretty decent out there with the bat. You just brought in a Gio Urshela. Who knows if he is going to end up being the shortstop? It's looking like it as of right now. But if you could sign someone like a Mitch Haniger and you can get anything close to what you got in 2021 with him, that would be a huge upgrade for their lineup. Now, for the Dodgers, I don't think the Dodgers necessarily are in dire need of someone like a Mitch Haniger. Don't forget, you got a James Outman here who, a very small sample size last year, but this guy is really good, very athletic player. He brings a lot to the table with the bat, brings a lot to the table with his legs and his fielding. Honestly, as of right now, you got Trace Thompson listed out here in center field. Don't be surprised if James Outman ends up getting a lot of playing time out in center field. He can absolutely handle it out there with the athleticism that he has. But Mitch Haniger, sure, if you want to maybe put Outman out in center, maybe have Haniger play out in left. I mean, you got some other options here. Like I said, a Trace Thompson as well. I could see the Dodgers getting in on it. I don't think they necessarily view Haniger as like a top priority, but as an option, if they end up needing something and maybe some other guys they're interested in end up going elsewhere, then sure, maybe you could look at Haniger as like a plan B or plan C. The Angels, sure, I could see them as an option, absolutely. But I think for the Angels, like I just mentioned a lot here, they've had a lot of injuries here in the last couple of years. Do you want to bring in someone like Haniger who's had health issues? I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I definitely could see the Giants and the Rangers being in play for him. The Rangers, I think, could be a team to take a chance on him. I'll be honest with you. Maybe I'm showing a little Giraffe Neck Robbie here, but I think the Red Sox should absolutely look into Mitch Haniger. His right-handed power bat would play so well at Fenway. Heimblum, I could see him maybe going after Mitch Haniger, like a one-year deal with an option kind of a thing. Probably be a little cheaper as well because of the health. So, I don't know, wait for the Red Sox to maybe see if they can get in on it. But Mitch Haniger's market it's definitely going to be pretty interesting. Let's stick with outfielders and let's talk about the Diamondbacks. Ken Rosenthal is letting us know that the Diamondbacks are open to trading one of their outfielders. And if we take a look here, they got a lot of outfielders that are really good. Dalton Varsho, you got Jake McCarthy, you got Corbin Carroll, and don't forget about Alek Thomas, one of the top prospects coming up last year. So that's 4 extremely good outfielders. Now, Dalton Varsho, I don't think he's going anywhere. Corbin Carroll, I don't think he's going anywhere. Alek Thomas, I also don't think he's going anywhere either. I think he has a lot more upside than someone like a Jake McCarthy. But Jake McCarthy, I think, could be a pretty solid bat for some teams out there. Hit 283, a 342 on base, 427 slugging, a 116 WRC plus, only 25 years old. I think a lot of teams would be interested in someone like him. And why not the Miami Marlins? Hey, they're looking for some bats. A young bat like him, I think, could be pretty nice. And you got someone by the name of Pablo Lopez, who they've been, in the rumor mill now for the last year or two, maybe looking to deal him. The Diamondbacks could absolutely use someone like him in their starting rotation. Zach Gallen finally put it together last year. Merrill Kelly was really solid. But Madison Bumgarner, I don't know, man, about Madison Bumgarner. But you got a couple other guys here. Ryan Nelson, Drake Jameson, a couple of really good seasons here with small sample sizes, though. I think Pablo Lopez could be a really nice upgrade for the Arizona Diamondbacks. So in this trade, you got McCarthy, we got Jarvis, and we got Melendez. Jarvis, as of right now, he was a draft pick from a couple of years ago, number 17 prospect, and then Ivan Melendez, number 10 prospect, first base. And listen, I think for the Diamondbacks, I think this could be a really nice addition for them. But if the Marlins aren't willing to play ball, maybe you could go take a look at the Houston Astros. Now, I know Justin Verlander is a free agent, so I think what he ends up being, playing a big role in this. But the Astros do have a lot of starting pitching, and one guy we did not see in the postseason all that much was Luis Garcia, and they could use a corner outfield bat. So maybe we could put together a trade here. Maybe the Astros get McCarthy, a couple of prospects as well. I got De Los Santos and Vucevic. If we take a look, Vucevic is the number 12, and De Los Santos, as of right now, is their number 6. So, I mean, Luis Garcia, I think, could be a really nice upgrade for them. I could also just see the Astros wanting to hang on to him, too. Again, really depends on what do they want to do with Justin Verlander, too. Even if they end up getting Justin Verlander, do they want to deal away a young arm like someone like a Luis Garcia? I don't know. Just coming up with some ideas here. To me, out of these two, I would like the Diamondbacks one with the Marlins way more. I think Pablo Lopez could be pretty nice, and he's a bit more affordable as well. But we'll just have to keep an eye on this. I definitely think the Diamondbacks, they definitely could deal one of these outfielders. Let's stick with trades, shall we? And the Detroit Tigers are open to dealing some relievers. Now, the Detroit Tigers, they were looking prime last year to get into some competition in that division, but they fell flat on their face after a pretty good season a couple of years ago. They were kind of like the Orioles of last season back in 2021, but they fell flat on their face. But one good thing about the Tigers last year was their bullpen. They got some arms here in this bullpen. You got a Joe Jimenez, you got a Gregory Soto, you got someone like an Alex Lang, Jason Foley. There's some interesting options here. They got some new management there, new president of baseball operations running the show. So they're trying to get creative. Let's see what kind of deals they could make. And one option could be dealing one of these guys. And honestly, I was just talking about Jake McCarthy. They could use a bit of an upgrade in left field. I know you got Akil Baddoo. Let's see if he can bounce back. But hey, maybe Jake McCarthy could be someone for them. Maybe they could put together a trade there somehow. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. And also as well, with the free agent market, there's not a lot of big relievers out there. You got someone like a Kenley Jansen. You got some other names. You got like Craig Kimbrell out there. You got a couple of relievers, but yeah, there's not a lot there on the free agent market. So the trade market could be an interesting possibility to nab some bullpen help. We're just going to have to wait and see. And for the Tigers, hey, they got to make some moves. If they want to get back into competition, they're going to have to make some good moves this offseason. And for our last story, we got some guys making their debut on the Hall of Fame ballot. Most notably, we got Carlos Beltran and K-Rod, Francisco Rodriguez, and some other names that I grew up with. Houston Street, Matt Cain, John Lackey, R.A. Dickey, Jared Weaver, Bronson Arroyo. Love me some Bronson Arroyo. Jacoby Ellsbury, Andre Ethier, Mike Napoli, Johnny Peralta, J.J. Hardy, and Jason Worth. Don't forget, we got a few other guys that got pretty close last year, over 50%. Scott Rowland at 63.2% last year. I do think he gets in eventually. One of the best defensive third basemen of all time. Very good with the bat in his career as well. 2004, he was so good with the Cardinals that year. Todd Helton had some amazing seasons there with the Rockies. I think he could get in. Billy Wagner, one of the best relievers of all time. I definitely think Billy Wagner could get in as well. Don't forget about Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Kurt Schilling. They are no longer on the regular ballot, but they will be on the contemporary era ballot. I think, if you've been following me now for a while, I think all three of these guys should be in the Hall of Fame. Barry Bonds, in my opinion, steroids or not, I don't care. In my opinion, the greatest of all time. Roger Clemens, arguably the best starting pitcher of all time. Kurt Schilling, one of the best postseason pitchers, if not the best postseason pitcher of all time. And he's not in simply just because of opinions that he had. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. That's hogwash. Kurt Schilling, what he did on the field, absolutely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I think all three deserve to be in. Now, as for Carlos Beltran and K-Rod, I definitely think Carlos Beltran should get in. If we take a look here, a career baseball reference WAR of 70.1 in the 400-300 club, 400 home runs, 300 stolen bases. I think the best comparison for him would be someone like Andre Dawson, who is in the Hall of Fame, also had over 400 home runs and 300 stolen bases, but Carlos Beltran had the better OPS. Dawson with an 806, Beltran with an 837. I think Beltran should get in eventually. As for Francisco Rodriguez, hey, this guy was a shutdown closer for the Angels so many years. He actually set the single season record for saves in a season with 62 back in 2008. Man, he was really good that year. But a lot of good years for him. He had over 5 seasons with 40 saves, and then including that 62 save season, over 6 seasons with at least 40 saves. Absolutely shut down reliever. Now, when I'm thinking of Francisco Rodriguez for the Hall of Fame, though, I don't know if he has enough. Yes, he has a lot of saves in his career, but I'm looking at the other numbers as well. I don't know if he stacks up with guys like Mariano Rivera and even Billy Wagner, who I just mentioned a little earlier. K-Rod was really good. Will it be enough to get him in? I think the saves will definitely be the biggest stat for him and whether or not he gets in. But when I'm looking at, numbers like ERA, FIP, Rivera was so much better in both of those categories, Wagner as well. We'll just have to wait and see. I definitely think there is a case for him to maybe make it, but out of those two, I think Carlos Beltran should get in. But let me know your thoughts down below on what do you think about these guys on the Hall of Fame ballot, along with the contemporary ballot with Bonds, Clemens, and Schilling. Let me know your thoughts, and let me know your thoughts on all of the other stories I talked about in today's video. But that's all I have for right now. I'll talk to you next time, everyone.